Great to be here on this Tuesday. Kevin and Ben, glad you're making us a part of your day. We are streaming live, ESPNCoastal.com. On your mobile device with the ESPN app. Also, you can catch us streaming on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Go to our YouTube channel, ESPN Coastal. You can catch all the old 3 and outs, second downs. We've done high school football on there and more. So you can catch everything you may have missed there at ESPN Coastal on YouTube. And, of course, Facebook and Twitter at Pigskin Radio. You can find us there on Twitter. So much to get to. We'll chat with Akil Blunt, former FAMU linebacker, Dolphins and Steelers linebacker, the son of Mel Blunt, legendary defensive back in the National Football League. He'll join us coming up at 4:20. And then also in hour number 2, we'll chat with Rich Stiles of the Back Nine Boys Golf Show coming off the U.S. Open and the big news of Brooks Koepka defecting to the LIV Tour. He becomes the latest guy to make that switch. But a lot of news this afternoon. Gronk is in the news. The Hawks, Ben, are in the news with the NBA draft upcoming. They may be looking to do something here on the trade front. We'll tell you who and for what coming up in just a little bit. But the Braves open up the homestand last night, Ben, 2-1 over San Francisco. They go back to 5.5 behind the New York Mets off of Orlando Arcia walk-off. And that dude has done nothing seemingly but good things since having to fill in for Ozzie Albies. Is it going to continue? We'll see. But so much happening last night, Ben, not the most of which is the Braves getting a big win to start the homestand with the Giants. And then, of course, the Dodgers coming up on Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Kevin, the month of June has been incredible for the Atlanta Bravos. They are 16-2 in their last 18 games. They've lost 2 games in 18 tries. 2 games. I know Jock Peterson, Kevin, had the pearls going, fan favorite. Right. And look, the reception for the people say, oh, he didn't really get the booze. Hey, I have no reason to boo him. He didn't do anything. He didn't do anything.
Yeah, the Braves just did not re-sign him. Yes.
Yeah, he just did not re-sign. And we kept talking about this yesterday, Kevin. He was that vocal spark that the Braves needed. And the Braves were very, very, we let our bats do the talking, we let our players do the talking. Jock goes, nope, I'm going to talk for us. Because winning a World Series is rare, extremely rare. And when you think about this Braves team that hadn't won a World Series since the 90s, has had a lot of postseason success as of late, Jock Peters was like, dude, we're those you know what. And they went out there and got it done. And Jock was like, man, Jock, you can see the personality. Obviously, he tried to pick up the World Series trophy yesterday, obviously couldn't do it. But I just think this Braves team, Kevin, has developed a lot of confidence. Sure. in the month of June, which is what you're trying to build all the time. You got the camaraderie, you got the talent, you got the starting pitcher. Max Fried has been amazing, lights out. Cy Young all over him. Obviously, got to keep it up. You talk about a Braves team that their best player is not playing well right now, and you can't even tell. That's a sign of not a good team, a great team. But Kevin, they they sticking with their winning ways. I kept saying when you talk about the Braves team, they're always looking forward. Controlling what they can control, those Mets saying, look, we got to keep them in. We got to keep them in our view. We can't let them get too far away from them because it's all about having something to play for going into the All-Star break. Getting ready for that. By the fantastic of a finish or exciting finish. But Kevin, they handled business yesterday against a San Francisco team. Kevin, you were talking about it yesterday. The Braves and the Giants are very, very similar in runs scored and runs given up and win in home wins, away wins. But the Braves got a big one yesterday. Made it a nail biter, by the way.
Sure.
But shout out to Travis d'Arnaud. I think that we get so caught up in, what is Michael Harris Jr. doing? What is Ronald Acuna Jr. doing? How is the health of Ozzie? Travis d'Arnaud has been balling, people. Not kind of balling either. No, ball lean. And I know we still got all-star voting going on right now. He got a shot to potentially get in there, but the bottom line is got a big win yesterday, sticking with their winning ways, Kevin, build a momentum, keeping pace with those pesky Mets.
Yeah, look, I think the whole deal is this team is playing so well as a team right now. Arcia with the walk-off. Michael Harris, 3 for 3, hitting close to 340 right now as a rookie. I think you'd have to put him up there, and the guy we'll see tonight, Spencer Strider. Those two guys might be in the top 3 or 4 right now for rookie of the year. And Michael Harris has only played a month, not even a month at this point. So, look, I think you're getting a lot of contributions. And as you said, you've barely noticed that Ronald Acuna has just been awful at the plate. 7 of his last 42 and 1 RBI. That's what he's done in his last 10 games. I think he's scored 2 runs and driven in 1. 7 of 42. His average has dipped, I think, 30 points in the last 10 days, 25 points the last 10 days. Not good. And the Braves have still found ways to go out and win. Ben, I think that is what you were trying to stave off. If you're Alex Anthopoulos, is, hey, we're not going to put it all on one guy. And if that guy struggles, we're sunk. Right? I mean, that's a hard way to win baseball games. 100%. You can't go out there and say, if this guy doesn't perform, we're sunk.
Yep.
And Ronald Acuna has not been awesome over the last 10 games. And the Braves have still found ways to win ball games. And you know that's not going to last, right? You know that's not going to be something that continues into the future. You know that's not going to be something that he's going to have, a month and a half from now. We're going to go, man, Acuna's like 10 of his last 80. Like, what is going on? I think he's going to come out of it. And when he does, I think that just makes his team even more dangerous. And as you said, you have guys who have kind of been first couple of months kind of, I say goats in the negative connotation of it. Like, hey, you're not playing well. Dansby, Adam Duvall, who have really kind of turned it around and started playing extremely, extremely well. And look, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun when you believe you can win in the late innings. Kenley Jansen is a beast coming in. 3 strikeouts in the 9th to hold it there and give yourself a chance to win. But look, I think this is an important stretch now because Ben, so much has been made about, oh, you're just beating up on the easy teams, right? Yeah, you're just beating up on the teams that are not any good. Okay, well, the Giants are pretty good. Giants were tied for the second wild card spot coming last night. You were able to hold off and beat them. I think if you win tonight, that could set you up potentially for a very nice homestand. I do think it's interesting, the dichotomy, Ben, of Jock Peterson comes up to pinch hit in 9th inning. Big standing ovation, a lot of roars from the crowd, almost hits a home run. Then everybody's like, whoa, 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 whoa. We love you. We don't love you that much that we want you to beat us here in the 9th inning. But a big ovation there. I still am interested. We're going to keep talking about it until he shows up. Is, as you said, there's a difference in Jock Peterson and Freddie Freeman. Jock Peterson was there for a couple of months, provided a spark, provided a maybe all-time line around the Atlanta Braves that is synonymous now with them winning that World Series championship. And then he was gone. And gone because the Braves decided not to bring him back in favor of Eddie Rosario, and he wanted to play every day. Freddie is a franchise icon, right? When you talk about Atlanta Braves, talking about, 11 years with the franchise, fan favorite, professional, never in the news for doing bad stuff. I mean, if you want to be honest, this is the worst thing that fans can say about Freddie Freeman. Why didn't he sign with the Braves? That's right. That's, as a fan, that's the worst thing you can say. He didn't embarrass you as a fan. He didn't do anything. The worst thing you say is he didn't get a deal done, or his agent didn't get a deal done when he professed he wanted to stay in Atlanta. That's it. That's the worst thing you could say. What will the reception be like on Friday? Because again, there's a lot of people who say, hey, if you boo Freddie Freeman, that shows who you are as a fan base. And then there's people who go, no. He dipped on us, kind of made it to, they said, oh, I wanted to be here. I'm surprised he could. Well, you had obviously a fair deal, and you left. And fans don't, again, if you think fans don't like people taking the money, what have we been talking about in golf for the last month and a half? What do you see every time? LeBron James, I'm taking my talents to Miami. And Cleveland melted down, right?
As they should.
Take it. Oh, I'm saying, but taking the money and going to Miami. Can't stay with us. I think they should be over it, but I think there's going to be a decent amount of folks who are still like, listen here, man, you were Mr. Atlanta Brave at this point. And you dipped on us because you couldn't agree to a deal, which in hindsight was more than fair. And you didn't take that much more money at the end of you didn't get that much more money at the end of the day to go to Los Angeles. I get you wanted to go home, but we're fans. We feel like Atlanta was your home at this point, right? That's where you belong. And so I think there's a portion of the fan base that's going to feel like that, Ben, like, hey, you were a Brave. You should have been a Braves lifer. The Braves made you an offer that at least looking at it, as you said, was more than fair. I'm interested. Again, I think that's a must-see at bat Friday night when he comes up for the first time and see what it is. Because I do think there's going to be some boos. If it's overwhelming boos, I'll be surprised. I do think there's more people who are like, look, we get it. You gave us a World Series title. End of the day, that's what you want, right?
Yeah.
No World Series title. Now, if they came close and didn't win it last year and he dipped, maybe there'd be a little more booze. People would think, well, you left when we had a chance to go back and finish the deal. But he gave you a World Series title. In the story.
No, Kevin, you're right. But this is the thing. Certain people get adopted by not just a team, but a city. Remember when Drew Brees had the, controversial comments, a couple of years back and his teammates was coming at him? Well, the city of New Orleans was coming at him, not just the Saints. Sometimes we don't know what we mean to a franchise until we leave. When I left Tennessee, no one cared. I was there for 4 years. Time to move on. It happens. Right? No, seriously. Right? But Kevin, it's like this. If Chipper Jones would have left, it don't matter where he go. Either I don't like the team he's going to, or I'm going to dislike whoever he goes to if I didn't like them before. Freddie Freeman left for the same amount of money, essentially. It's not like, oh, man, they gave him $250 million. No, they did not. And Kevin, once again, boos are a sign of love. Because at the end of the day, Kevin, he means more. He grew up as a grown man in Atlanta. He is not from Atlanta, but he grew up as a grown man in Atlanta. 12, 13 years is a long time. So I think for Braves fans, they're saying to themselves, I mean, what it is, can we do this? How could you do this to us, Freddie? That's what they're really saying. He made the best decision for him and his family. But Kevin, when you break down the contract, it ain't much more. It's just not. And I think that with Freddie, it's more of we get into this, oh, that's betrayal. We start making up things. He did that to us. Come on, Freddie. We gave you Ronald Acuna. We gave you Isaac Albies. We gave you Dansby Swanson. We gave you Austin Riley. Gave you a world. Because they'll say you was there in the dark ages, but he's going to get some boos because, Kevin, like I said, Jock can do no wrong. As far as like what you can mean to a team in a short amount of time, Jock, Rosario, and Soler, that's about as good as you can do it. Appreciate it, fellas. But you guys can go, have your food and chill. We got to talk to Freddie. Because Kevin, you was like, when you said to yourself, what you kept saying? I just want to see Freddie Freeman re-sign with the Braves. All of a sudden, Matt Olson. What? Like you said, Kevin, we can't wait on you. No, we can't let you hold us hostage. We need a first baseman. You don't want to be the first baseman. And when the numbers finally came out, we was like, really? So, hey, it's going to be some boos, Kevin. Like I said, he ain't going to get one at-bat like Jock either. You're going to get a bunch of at-bats. At first baseman, boo! Hey, and I think that's more than fair, Kevin, because sometimes, dude, you gotta know when Kyrie goes back to Cleveland, boo. Kyrie goes back to Boston, boo. Right?
Everywhere he goes back.
They're booing him in Cleveland, and he got him a ring, boo. So, hey, man, I think it's a sign of love. Booing is a sign of love when it comes to a disgruntled fan.
We'll talk certainly more about that as we go throughout the show. We'll come back. Hawks are in the news ahead of the NBA draft. Why? And for who and for what? We'll tell you about that next. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here. It is 3 and Out on this Tuesday. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, thanks for making us a part of your day. Ben, the Hawks in the news at the NBA draft coming up. But that's not why they're in the news. Hawks apparently looking to trade John Collins ahead of the draft to help improve their basketball team, find some help for Trae Young. Obviously, they feel it's not John Collins, who I think has been a good player. Ben, I don't know that he ever took that next level step that people were wanting as a big there with Atlanta. But what are we doing here? If you're the Atlanta Hawks, for who? For what? Who are you trading for John Collins? Or who are you trading John Collins for, I should say?
Well, Kevin, I mean, I think it starts with the first thing you said. He never really lived up to a good player, never great player. I mean, and I think that when you talk about a guy, John Collins, I mean, before Trae was there, he was a guy you ran the offense through. And people are like, okay, well, who can we pair? It used to be, who can we pair with John Collins? You give him a Trae Young, a guy that takes that barrier of having to be that scorer. Obviously, he's better. He's a guy that's better when you distribute him the basketball, doesn't really create his own shot, never really learned how to play with his back to the basket. A good player, quality. But when you got $100 million contracts, we need you to do more than kind of be, we need at least, averaging 15, at least double-digit rebounds. And that was never really, show flashes, but it was never a consistent effort. So for me, Kevin, I look out west, man. I look at a guy like DeAndre Ayton. I think when you think about, he's a guy that's definitely, going to want to get a max deal, a guy that definitely benefits from a floor general like a Devin Booker, and a guy like Trae Young, to where you can go out there and have a guy that you don't have to be the main guy. But think about if you had the perimeter shooting of a Trae Young with the defensive presence and low post dominance of a DeAndre Ayton. So I think that it'll be a match. Plus, Phoenix is real similar to Atlanta, right? Phoenix, big city, right? State like Arizona, get it. But they never got to star in Devin Booker. You come out to a place like Atlanta, you bring a guy like DeAndre Ayton, you can, definitely going to be one of the biggest names in Atlanta, definitely one of the biggest names in sports in Georgia. And I think, Kevin, he wants to be able to say, hey, man, I can be a focal point for an offense on a team like Atlanta. The Phoenix Suns last 2 years, let's face it, they underwhelmed. Phoenix was in the finals, didn't win it, didn't make it back to the finals the next year. The Hawks was in the Eastern Conference Finals, made it back to the playoffs, and obviously wasn't able to have success. I think a guy like Trae Young deserves a DeAndre Ayton, Kevin, because while he can score, Trae doesn't give you anything on the defensive end. Trae is a distributor. Trae is a guy that you love to play with, a young superstar. But if Trae is, quote, having an off night, a guy like DeAndre to go along with Hunter, to go along, with Herder and company and Bogdanovich, I think adding a guy like DeAndre Ayton is good. And that's what I think Trae Young has done for Atlanta. He's made Atlanta a team that you want to play with him. So if you can get a DeAndre Hunter, I think that'll be because I don't think you get an aging superstar that's a big man, Kevin, because I don't think he bodes well with a very, very young team. In Atlanta, you get a guy that's in his mid-20s like a DeAndre Ayton, a former number 1 overall pick, who just fell to the Phoenix Suns, who got the lottery pick that year. Get a DeAndre Ayton, I think it'll be a match made in heaven for the Hawks.
Again, we'll see what they decide to do. I thought John Collins was going to be one of those guys that was a building block of the team, where you have your guard, you have your big man, and you fill in around them. Obviously, it didn't work out the way they wanted to. Made a deep run 2 years ago. Last year, barely made the playoffs with basically the same roster at the end of the day. And again, I'm interested to see what the Hawks do because, Ben, what you said, again, this is a trade. How else do you supplement your roster? Because Atlanta hasn't traditionally, for whatever reason, been an NBA city that free agents want to come to, right? The famous, I don't know who told me that. It was a story. Somebody was talking with Chris Webber. They're like, why don't you come to Atlanta? He's like, good place to hang out, good place to live. Don't want to play basketball there. And you're going, okay. So trade makes sense. Move John Collins. Obviously, something has to change if you're looking at this team because I think they underachieved last year, right? And is John Collins going to help you move forward? I don't think so. I think you were hoping he would take a step forward and be a 1-2 punch last year, and he just never, to me, got to that status where it was like, that's a guy you can just not live without on your basketball team. And so now you've seen all these rumors of the Hawks going to make a move prior to the draft to try to move him.
Well, Kevin, that's the nature of sports. The thing about the NBA that's different than any other league is you don't have to be great to get max contracts. I mean, Zion Williamson is going to get an almost $200 million super max contract because he was the number one overall pick, and I think that's just in the cards when you go that high. DeAndre Hayden is a good player, really good player. I think he needs a change of scenery because he went to Arizona, then obviously got drafted by Phoenix. Sometimes you just need a change of pace. And I think when you look at what the Hawks are trying to build, like you're saying, Kevin, the Hawks are fighting to stay relevant every year, while other teams are fighting, to get in the playoffs and contend. Trae Young is a budding superstar. Trae Young can carry a team. Trae Young can't do it all. Trae Young needs a big man. John Collins was good, but like I said, never ever took that step. I mean, Kevin originally turned down the max contract, but then came back and took it. But then if you're in that front office, you're saying, look, man, we got to get some of this money off the books. We got to be, and I think the Hawks are different because there's so many teams now that have young superstars or young budding superstars and people trying to find their way. I mean, you get a DeAndre Ayton and you add maybe another piece, you got a shot to be really, really good because, yes, the East has gotten better, but so has the Hawks. Yes, the talent level has gotten better, but so has the Hawks. And they're still a young team that does well building through the draft, And I think that if you can add a DeAndre Ayton, Kevin, it definitely adds to a locker room that's lacking a post presence, a consistent post presence, a guy that can definitely dominate down low, rebounds, blocks, just a force. So DeAndre Ayton, if that is in the cards, I think that will be a slam dunk for the Hawks.
So we'll see what the Hawks do. Again, not a lot of potential rumors out there. DeAndre Ayton is one that has been said is maybe the best one that we've heard in regards to Atlanta making a move. We'll see what they decide to do. We've got a lot to get to here on this Tuesday. Gronk is in the news, and we'll tell you why he's in the news when we come back and what that means for the National Football League. We'll do it next. It's 3 Down on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, thanks for being with us here on 3 and Out. Gronk. That's all you have to say. And everybody, Ben knows who you're talking about. Gronk, the one-name superstar, as you like to say. That's how you know when you've made it. You just say Peyton, Eli, Gronk, Lamar. You know you've made it as a big-time star. Well, Gronk apparently has decided he is retiring today. We put it out there on social media, told a couple of news outlets that he was retiring. My question is, before we get into all the other legacy stuff, do you believe he's retiring? Because before he was retiring, and then Tom Brady went to Tampa, and he said, well, maybe we'll give this another shot. Do you think he's actually done before we do any of the other stuff?
I do, and this is why. There's nothing else he can do. Yes, he can go out there and play again, but he's already the most decorated tight end in NFL history. He has 4 Super Bowls. He has 92 touchdowns. He has almost 10,000 yards, like 620 something catches. He has the most receiving yards in postseason history by far. He has double-digit postseason touchdowns. And the most important thing, he's never cashed an NFL check. He only lives off his endorsements. What else can he do, Kevin? Like, think about it. He can add to it's like LeBron. LeBron can get another championship and
those start to become legacy rings at that point. If you're talking about LeBron.
What I'm saying is, you get into this game to get as much money as you can, as many memories as you can, and to leave a legacy. He's done it. He's won everywhere. Now, the only way he would come back is if Tom Brady went to another team. Because everywhere Tom's won, he's won. Right?
Yeah.
Did it 3 times with the Patriots. Did it another time, obviously, with the Tampa Bay Bucks. Did it in the AFC. Did it in the NFC. First ballot Hall of Famer. The greatest tight end in NFL history name is Rob Gronkowski. That's taking nothing away from the greats, like Shannon Sharp, right? Like Travis Kelce, right? But when you think about this, Kevin, if somebody says Sharp, you don't know if you're talking about Shannon Sharp. If somebody says Kelce, you don't know if you're talking about Travis Kelce or his brother. If somebody says Gonzalez, you don't know who he's talking. You don't know if you're talking about a football player or a basketball player. Gronk. They had a year of Gronk, the year of Gronk. Rob Gronkowski, he's not the only reason, but he's probably the most prominent reason why the tight end position is a high caliber, highly sought after position now. Tight ends are making $14 and $15 million a year now. That's because of Gronk. So if Gronk does, and this is the thing, Gronk is 33 years old. Gronk has played a lot in the postseason. Gronk has had a lot of injuries. Gronk ain't your average 33-year-old. Gronk go to the doctor, and they go look at them x-rays, they go, my goodness. So yeah, man, I ain't got no cartilage left in these knees now. Like, and the thing about Gronk is you're going to remember the most is fierce competitor. Had a lot of fun doing it, Kevin, and I think the hardest thing for any football player to do is to know when to walk away. Like, I'm in relatively good health. I did well with my money. Hopefully, my mind is intact, enough to have a long life, because football is an incredible opportunity, but it has to end. Listen, one day, 2029 is going to end for Tom Brady too. It ain't going to end today, but I think for Gronk, he's saying to himself, dude, what else can I do? I got 4-time first team All-Pro. I think 5-time Pro Bowler. The most receiving touchdowns in the season with like 18. I think he had 17 touchdowns in one season. Gronk has almost 100 touchdowns, and he's missed time. I think the most touchdowns in NFL history is like 115, and that's Antonio Gates. Antonio Gates, Hall of Famer. He ain't Gronk. Tony Gonzalez, 3rd all-time in catches. He ain't Gronk. Jason Witten, 4th all-time in catches. He ain't Gronk. And I think that what happens is, Kevin, is the tight end position. I played it. I was not who Gronk was. I was not the player that Gronk was. I did not bring the level of attention that Gronk did. Gronk is the GOAT. Point blank period. I don't care how you want to slice it. And that's even if. Now,
but you were a little bit before the Gronk era where they weren't looking at guys at tight end like him. Yeah. Right? I mean, they were kind of but not exactly.
It's like it's like Charlie Ward and Danny Warford when they was running high, wide open offenses. Nobody else was doing it. They also won the Heisman when they did it. What they're doing now, spread offenses. So that's Steve Spurrier being a little bit ahead of his time, right? Mark Ritt and company being ahead of their time with calling these plays. The thing about Gronk came in the league at a time to where people saying, hey, man, we need a guy to come along to really bring attention to the tight end position, and nobody can turn away. Most guys you watch, you can turn away. Gronk never know what he's going to do. And every time in the big game, he showed up. Every Super Bowl he played in, he was a factor. Even in this last one with Tampa Bay, he was a factor. And I think, Kevin, too, nobody wants to see the last time you saw me. I'm just barely getting along. I don't want that. Like I want it to be a Kobe Bryant 60 points the last time we saw him on the court. 60. Now, he took a lot of shots to get there, and obviously everybody knew he was going to do it, but he did it. Gronk is saying, hey, man, the last time I was on the football field, I gave you all I had. I'm done. I'm 33 years old. I did right by it. I did not cheat the game. The main thing about any player is, hey, man, you want to walk away with no regrets. If you gave it all you had, you can live with it. And I think with Gronk, like I said, what else can he do? I want another Super Bowl. We forget this, though. Gronk has, 4 Super Bowls? How many AFC championship rings does he have? He has an NFC championship ring. So I know we're going to get to the Golden State Warriors. This man has a treasure chest of rings. He really does. So, hey, Gronk, man, we're going to miss you. The greatest to ever do it. That's going to be a hard act to follow.
And why is he different than, like, say, a Shannon Sharp? Like,
he's different
because a lot of people would say he was the best.
Shannon Sharp to me is the second greatest tight end of all time. He's the second greatest of all time. Gronk, to me, Gronk was not the greatest athlete. Like when we look at LeBron, great athlete.
Sure.
Kobe, great athlete.
Sure.
Gronk is not a great athlete. Gronk was a clumsy athlete. Gronk was a guy that said, hey, man, I'm going to show you what I do. If you put me in the right offense, man, I'm going to be where I'm supposed to be, right? And if I get the ball in my hands, I'm going to make defenders pay because that's what he did. And Gronk is the most complete tight end I've ever. Gronk could block his patootie off. He could. But I think what makes Gronk the greatest, Kevin, is you're not a Patriots fan. You're not a Bucks fan. You're a Gronk fan. That's what's hard to do. Most teams we watch because we're a fan of that team. I'll watch Gronk. Why? Because he's must-see TV. I'll watch Travis Kelce, right? They must-see TV. Certain guys, they're a good team. They're good players. They ain't Gronk. Like Gronk was a personality that never, like out of everybody that was with the Patriots, Gronk was different. He was like a frat boy, kind of, as a football player. But he was a hell of a football player.
Does Gronk get you did it all with Tom Brady?
No.
Because you left the Patriots and followed Tom Brady.
No, because everybody who played with Tom Brady ain't going to have a Hall of Fame career.
I get it. I'm just asking the question if that follows, it's like, hey, yeah, you did it with Tom Brady.
No, because the thing about it is people think just because as much as Tom Brady made Gronk made Brady too. It's a catch-22. It's like Gronk Tom Brady has had more tight ends than Gronk. He had Daniel Graham, he had Ben Watson, right? He had Algie Crumpler, right? They weren't Gronk. Matter of fact, OJ Howard, that went first round out of Alabama, he was with Tampa. You couldn't even tell he played with Tampa because they had Gronk. And all I'm saying is, Kevin, everybody has a player to say, you go, dude, if I could just get this dude here, because we got chemistry. Stockton and Malone, chemistry. Jordan and Pippen, chemistry. Kobe and Shaq, chemistry. The thing about Tom Brady, he says this, listen, if I need a play, I'm going to Gronk. I don't care what the coverage is. And Kevin, he had fun doing it. Gronk was about, interviews, partying, but when he put the 8-7 on his chest, man, this is what makes Gronk the GOAT. Gronk was with the Patriots. The Detroit Lions traded for him because you remember the defensive coordinator for the Patriots went over to Detroit. When Gronk found out he was traded to Detroit, he retired. Because once you retire, your contract is void. And then he signed with Tampa Bay. With Tampa Bay. So the man understands economics. He understands contracts. But Kevin, just like I know, If Rob Gronkowski is on the field, the game is different. He plays the game in a different way. Certain guys just play the game different, and he was one of those guys. He will be missed. There are young people coming up in football that want to play tight end. They don't want to play receiver, right? They don't want to play in the slot. I want to play tight end. That's because of Gronk. Now, he's not the sole reason, but the fact that somebody go, if Rob Gronkowski was hosting an award show that had nothing to do with sports, you would know that's Gronk. How many guys you know him without their helmet on? Not many. You know who Gronk is. Shout out to him. Love to meet him one day. Love to interview him one day. Just to tell him, thank you, man. Thank you for doing what only he could. Like, certain guys need a group of guys to make the position great. He didn't need a group. He was a one-man band. And that listen, you don't think of Darren Waller benefited? Darren Waller came into the NFL as a big receiver, and then he came over to the Raiders, and look at what's going on. Look at Travis Kelce. Look at Kyle Pitts. Look at Mark Andrews. Look at Zach Ertz. Look at Gesicki. Look at Goddard. And the list goes on and on. These dudes saying that's everybody got to have a barometer. It is Gronk. 8-7, we going to miss you. Somewhere he's spiking a gallon of milk right now. But Gronk, Frank Sinatra, whatever, he did it his way. He did it his way. And that's what because Kevin, at the end of the day, as a player, I don't control a lot of things. I want to control, when I walk away from this game, and did I do it my way? Did I not cheat the game? I think Gronk, he checks all those boxes. He will be missed. And whoever is a tight end for Tampa this year, watch how much different it is, no matter who it is. Because no matter who it is, it ain't Gronk.
No chance come week 10. Ring, ring. Hey, man. Listen, it's Tom. I know you said.
Listen, anything's possible.
You filed that paperwork with the NFL yet?
Hey, anything's possible. I'm just saying. But think about this. The only person that can get him to do it is Tom Brady. Like, he's the only one, right? I mean, it ain't nobody on the organization other than Tom. I mean, and I think sometimes, Kevin, when you got guys that have that type of influence, like I wouldn't be surprised. This is no lie. Tom Brady is probably going to have his dad, introduce him for the Hall of Fame. If there is a number 2, it's Gronk. you see what I'm saying? Yeah. Or and it's a gazillion Gronkowskis. So
yeah, which one? Pick
which one you go? But listen, shout out to Rob Gronkowski, man. I think at the end of the day, to know that he didn't have a 20-year career. He had a 10-year, 11-year career coming out of Arizona. I did not see him becoming the player that he did. But hey, man, I don't know who's the greatest player in Arizona history.
Teddy
Bruschi, maybe.
I don't know. I'm just
Teddy Bruschi has 3. Gronk had, listen, Teddy Bruschi was a part of the first. Think about that. Teddy Bruschi was a part of the first 3, and they thought the dynasty was gone. Nope, because Gronk was a part of the second 3. So when they doing Man in the Arena with Tom Brady, they're gonna be like, all right, Gronk, man, you're gonna have like your own section. Why? Just talk about what you got, how you guys used to hang out. But shout out to Gronk, man. 4 championships, Kevin. I just wanted to make a Super Bowl. He got 4. First team All Pros, 4. First team All Pros to me.
Meanwhile, Tom's been to how many?
Listen, Tom Brady's been to 10 Super Bowls. Gronk with him went to 4, 5, 6. So out of the 10, Gronk was a part of 6. Right? Oh, and when they won the Super Bowl against the Rams, who you think was making all the clutch catches? That would be Gronk. Now they ain't have I can't even think his name right now. Receiver for the Rams. His name is just escaping me right now. They just won the MVP this last Super Bowl. The one that couldn't nobody cover this year for the Rams. I can't.
You gonna put me? I'm gonna
think about it when we get off. But
as soon as I go to break,
but just know this though, Kevin. At the end of the day, Gronk gonna be missed. He was the man. I don't care who you are. It's gonna be debatable who thinks is the greatest, who's this and that. I think it's Gronk because he got the rings, he got the prestige, he got the postseasons, he got the influence. Shout out to the homie, Gronk. Let me hold something because I know you got plenty of cheese.
We've got more to come. Here it is, 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Great to be here with you on this Tuesday. We'll hear from Akil Blunt coming up next hour. Also, Rich Styles, the Back Nine Boys Golf Show, will join us. We'll talk some golf with him. But Ben, every day, we find crazy stuff on the internet, and it's out there. And this went viral, and I immediately thought of you. That's why I tagged you in the tweet. But a dude, and people were saying it wasn't in the United States; it was in Australia. I don't care where it is, quite frankly. A dude is being charged, not legally, but being charged by an alligator. Or some people said it was a croc. I don't care what it is. And the guy stands there and hits the gator in the face with a frying pan. The gator kind of steps back. Guy steps forward and hits him again, and the gator runs off. Who are these people? I mean, who are these people? In the past week, Ben Troop videos have brought me people wrestling like a 30-foot anaconda in the river, where you were on his home turf, by the way. A guy smacking a charging alligator in the face with a frying pan. Like, what is wrong with people? Like, I'm not sticking around long enough to slap a gator in the face, Ben. Like, I'm not doing it. They say I don't have to be very fast. I just got to be faster than you, right? What is wrong with people?
I will say this, Kevin. Now, in that person's defense, you saw how fast that gator's moving. So it's not like the person that was hitting him was like, hey, dude, I didn't have time to react. So I mean, now the skillet. Hey, man, I heard if you hit an alligator on their snout or nose, they're going. But I think what happened was you go boom, boom.
That's not a thing. Is it? I've heard that about sharks. You hit them in the nose. Like, obviously, if a shark's biting your leg off, hey, let me punch it in the nose real quick.
In order to hit a shark in the nose, you got to be where the shark lives, which that's a no-no. But I will say this, Kevin. Look, you start having these filters on your phone, and obviously our phones be listening to us. I just get the crazy stuff. When you stand to me, I was like, I don't know what the hell that is. But let me tell you something. I'm not as swift or as nimble as I used to be, but I would have put it to the test that time. The fact they had enough wherewithal to hit him with the skillet, hey man,
and then do it again. Like, get back.
That skillet should be in the family forever. But think about the alligator. They got to go back in the water and say, dude, you really got? Yeah, man, they hit me hard as hell with that skillet, man. No, man, hey, crazy videos. We get them every single day. Not only that, you got the two people using the skillet with the helmets on hitting each other, which is even crazy. That's
true. There are two people wearing like night helmets, sitting down, taking turns, hitting each other in the head with a frying pan. Like, I don't know what, like, then I said this before the show. We have more access to information than at any other time in human history, and we are dumb.
www. What the hell is going on?
It's 2022. You know what's popular on the internet? Slap fighting, and apparently now hitting dudes upside the head with frying pans, and people think that animals can't fight back. No, they sold a lot of DVDs on exactly the opposite. When animals attack and win, not doing it. I'm not sticking around long enough to hit a gator in the face with a frying pan. But have you seen, you know what I'm talking about with the slap fighting?
Yes.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
You get like a 280-pound Russian dude. He's like, bam! He dislodges all your teeth, and you're supposed to sit there and take it.
You already it'd be some little guy that swing first, and the big guy goes, "Did you get it all out?" Yeah, because you're about to be knocked down, you're about to be slept.
I will say that at what point, if you're that guy, do you think, yeah, this was a good idea? This guy's got arms as big as my legs. He hasn't shaved in 2.5 years, and he bench presses a truck in the morning, and I'm going to let him smack me in the face. I hope you got paid. That's all I'll say. We'll come back. Take 3 around the corner. Rich Styles, Akil Blunt next hour as well here on 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Hour 2 of 3 and Out. Glad you're with us here on this Tuesday, Kevin and Ben. We'll chat with Akil Blunt, former FAMU linebacker, Dolphins and Steelers linebacker, son of Mel Blunt, legendary NFL cornerback. Also, Rich Stiles will join us, host of the Back Nine Boys Golf Show. Matt Fitzpatrick wins the U.S. Open for his first major. Will Zalatoris, another second. Is he kind of one of those up-and-comer new age Phil type stories where he has got top tens all over the place and no major for quite some time? On Brooks Koepka going to the Live Tour. So he is the latest defector to go over to the Saudi-backed Live Tour. We'll talk to Rich Stiles about that coming up in just a little bit. But Ben, let's take 3 first of all, shall we, here on this Tuesday. All right, take 1. If John Collins is indeed gone, and there's a lot of speculation that the Hawks are looking to trade him, who fits best with Trae Young?
Woo, man. As far as big men, I mean, I love DeAndre Ayton. I mean, I just love what he brings to the table. I think he's a guy that really, really understands how to, benefit from a backcourt that has a guy like Hunter and Trae Young. But Kevin, a guy who, unless he wants to just make a bunch of money and never win anything, Bradley Beal. I think Bradley Beal would be huge. Because people go, well, why Bradley Beal? Well, Bradley Beal played with John Wall. That really didn't work out, right? John Wall is a really, really good player, but never ever really made his teammates better, more athletic than really being the distributor. I think a guy like Bradley Beal, you're adding a shooter, you add the mentality, kind of have, like a Jimmy Butler type mentality, and he's tired of Washington, right? I mean, Washington right now has the Wizards and the Commanders. Come on. No one wants to deal with that. So I think that Bradley Beal will be huge for that backcourt. And I think if you can get a guy like DeAndre Ayton, Kevin, a guy who obviously is coming up on the second contract, wants to be in a team that matters with players that matter, superstar like Trae Young. Trae Young and DeAndre Ayton, I think real similar, kind of like a Devin Booker, the way Trae Young plays. Give me DeAndre Ayton 1 and Bradley Beal 1B.
Apparently I've had the wrong take 3 music going the whole time, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, it's a good call though with Trae Young. Again, I think you want him to still be the focal point. You got to find somebody who's okay being the Pippen to your Jordan. Mm-hmm. I guess, so to speak, is the best way to put it. All right, moving along. Take 2. Ben, Colin Morikawa, PGA Tour golfer, took to Twitter today saying he's staying with the PGA Tour when it was kind of rumored earlier that he might be the next wave after Brooks Koepka to leave. He said, no, I'm playing with the PGA Tour. He said, why don't you just ask me first next time? I'm staying. And then later in the tweet went on to say he was now going to go back to putting cereal in his milk. So my question is not about the PGA Tour. It's not about who puts milk in the bowl first. Have you ever done that?
No. Let's call a weirdo.
Major league weirdo.
Weirdo. No. You are a weirdo. People go, oh, well, Ben, what lets you know people are in weirdo categories? Okay. Here's another weirdo. A person that has a convertible that goes through the drive-thru and let their window down to get their food. Your top is off. Reach over the window. Here's another.
That can be kind of hard.
Here's another window. Here's another weirdo. People that, I don't know, at 17 and 18-year-olds because they didn't choose your school to go to college. You are a weirdo. But if I ever go to your house, people who order boneless wings, you are a weirdo. People who ask traditional or boneless. No. That's all. No, a wing is traditional. That's it. There is not. What is this? The non-traditional? No. If I go to your house, listen, cereal is one of those things you do not need instructions to eat them. Right?
Put the milk in the bowl. Then
what else do you do? Do you put the milk in a glass and just drop the cookies in them? Now just drop them in. Just let them float to the bottom. What? Or do you dip them? I've never seen that before. Yes, I have. I seen it was a guy making a video and he poured the milk in the bowl. And then he put the cereal in. The people like, what are you doing? Number one, you can't put as much cereal in the bowl.
It messes up your
milk at the top. Look, there are certain things like you should keep to yourself. Like, I've never had meat. Sam Howell.
Yeah.
I only
What's
eat,
the steak taste like?
I
I don't
never
know.
had meat. I never had a hamburger. I never had steak. I only eat, what do you eat, man?
Chicken nugget.
Chicken nugget. I bring my chicken nuggets. If we're going to have a meal, I bring mine. Chicken nuggets are for children. Okay? Matter of fact, that's how you introduce most children to chicken nuggets. So the cereal, no, it's called cereal. You can eat cereal by itself. But then, if you're putting the milk in there, that's some weird stuff, man.
It messes up to me. I've maybe done it by accident, but it messes up the ratio.
Kevin,
you got to always cereal first.
If you on vacation, minding your business, going down for the continental breakfast, and somebody over there is like, "Can I get that milk for a second?" And they pour it in the bowl. Then they open up the cereal and they put it. Are you saying? Do you look at them and go, "Dude, what the hell are you doing?"
Yeah, no, yeah.
And he goes, "Don't you eat cereal? I eat cereal the way it's supposed to be eaten."
Yeah.
You're having cereal with your milk. That's what you're doing. No, sir. Now, do I drink the milk depending on the cereal? Leave a nice little sugariness at the bottom? Yeah. What are you doing?
No, I've gone so far as to even say if they don't have like the little cartons, if you're at the continent, you put the cereal in the bowl, and then I've even put the milk in a cup and then poured it in.
There it is.
Like, no, you don't do milk first because that messes everything up.
That's weird.
It is.
Like, let know. We're trying to avoid it. No, seriously, Kevin, that's weird. That's like
it really is.
It throws people off. Like, dude, what are you? No, this is what you do. You walk over and say, "You know that dude over there? That's if you're eating next day, you go, that's him. Watch. He finna pour the milk in the bowl."
Yeah. You're like, a milk first kind of guy.
And then, he gets the milk, pours in the bowl, gets the cereal, and puts it next to the milk, and walks to his table and go, "So what the hell you about to do, bro?" "I'm about to put this in here." "You about to put that in what?" Hey, man, I'm telling you, look, basically what he's saying is this: as weird as you think you are, there's some people in this world who can't hold a finger to them.
100% is there's another weirder, stranger person out there, no question. Speaking of weird things, today, Ben, we love the national holidays, is National Skateboard Day. Want to know, in honor of National Skateboard Day, can you ride a skateboard?
No, not doing it, not attempting it, not doing it. I mean, that had.
Would you try to do like some Tony Hawk stuff? Like,
no. Because Kevin, it's like this. It's like when we ask you what would be your favorite winter sport thing. You say, "Oh, the skeleton," or whatever you said. It's like,
no, I didn't say. I said I would try it once. Now I might get in an accident, but I'd try it.
Ain't nobody in it, but it's put the guardrails. Why? Put the guardrails.
It's like you got the bumpers, like
and Kevin time.
He's got shooting over the side. You have to stop.
Boom, bam, boom. No, there are certain things, right, that as you get older, you realize you've aged out of this thing. Skateboarding is one of those things you leave it alone. I remember at one point, you used like the rollerblade.
Have you ever been able to ride? I've never been able to ride a skateboard. I've tried.
I've been able to ride a skateboard before. Yeah, I have. I never really got into the tricks of it. I was more just like at a skating rink type skater. The whole skateboard stuff, because at a certain point you're gonna want to see a little ramp or one of your friends gonna make a ramp. Come on, let's go. All right. Next thing you know, and you're gonna hit the air. I never had the knee pass, never had the elbow pass. Tony Hawk is ageless. Like Tony Hawk is like a Tom Brady.
Oh, he still gets out there and rides and all that.
That's what I'm saying. Tony Hawk is like, he's the Godfather. He's the creator. I mean, he's the end all be all. But the answer to your question, Kevin, no, absolutely not. Not doing it, because it's kind of like, it's gonna go bad. And once your body the skateboard is gonna go one way. Your body's gonna go the other way.
That's usually how it went for me. So.
And it's not. Listen, and it's not. And there's nothing gonna be able to break your fall. Then you walking
the
around.
Concrete.
Yeah, crack, boom, bang. Oh shoot! And this is the thing, right? You notice when guys fall off skateboards, sometimes it is horrific, and they get up. Oh, dude, you wiped out. Oh, no, mine's gonna be. Oh, like Kevin, I don't know if I showed you the video when the lady got into a fight with the screen door. The screen door won.
You did.
And she's just laying there. Because you know what was behind that screen door? Concrete. And she's just laying there. The police officer said, "Ma'am, are you okay?" She's on the ground like, "Yeah, I'm okay." "Well, ma'am, you're not moving. Am I right? Should I call an ambulance?" "No, I'm good. I can't let you sit." I'm not doing it. Because Kevin, listen, everything goes viral now. Everything is a meme. Everybody wants to be able to, record stuff. Not doing it. Now, Kevin, Athletic arrogance has to have a barrier. This is mine. Leave it alone.
I've never been
once
able
you
to.
go, I would say this too.
It lives on
the
forever.
older you get, this is how you know you're getting older. Not old, older. How long does it take you to get off the ground if you fall? Like how long does it? You like You like, man, what's wrong with you? I twisted my ankle. But you fell on your back. Yeah, but my ankle hurt.
Yeah.
I ain't got time for it. Tony Hawk, keep doing what you're doing, sir. You are aging like wine. Me, no.
I've never been able to. I think the farthest I've ever been able to like ride a skateboard is probably like 10 feet, and that's about it. And I jumped off because I thought I was about to fall over. Just horrible balance on those things. So no, I'm not even trying the Tony Hawk. I would. And BJ said I was a liar. Ride the
wait.
He's saying I wouldn't do it. He said I wouldn't ride. I told him I would get on one of those BMX bikes and go down the little ramp. And you know how they go down the ramp and then they go over and they do the little jump and come down? I would do that. I wouldn't be doing any tricks. I wouldn't be like, hey, let me spin these handlebars around. But I would do it.
What you're really telling PJ is I've already had children.
No, BJ.
Oh, you've already told BJ. I already have children. Because when you Kevin.
No, you don't sit down on the seat. That's asking for trouble.
Okay, hold on, Kevin. This thing. Hold on. Okay. At what point do you realize I need to stop a grin? Next up, Kevin said, are you screaming?
You don't think it would be fun to go down a little ramp? I would. That's what I'm saying. I still have that sense of adventure. Now, when I get up there at the top, I might be like, ooh, this is a bad idea. Can't back out now.
Okay, this thing. Now, you going up, and once you hit the air, do you still hold on to the back, or do you go,
No, you can't. No, you can't let go. If you let go, you're asking to get messed up. No, you go down, you get to catch a little air, and then you go down.
Hold on. I just realized you said BJ. Now, I would make some BJ go, so wait a minute. You're going to, yes. So you tell, yes, BJ, don't, yes, I'm telling you that I would, go down. Yeah.
I'm not saying it doesn't take ability. I'm just saying I would do it. I'm not trying to pull off tricks like they are. Because he was like, oh, you would crash and die. I'm like,
would you rather do that?
You're going down the hill to build. No,
would you rather do like the little, they got the little, would you rather do the little ramp they got with like rollerblades?
We're not doing anything with rollerblades. But no. I feel more comfortable on a bike than landing rollerblades. 100%.
I mean, Kevin. Oh yes.
No.
Oh, yeah.
At what? Why would I be out here rollerblade jumping at this point?
100%. So hold on, we go. Kevin, yeah, listen, we got a bike over here. You what? We got a bike right over here.
Let's do it.
Kevin's like, it's next time. Kevin Thomas. I'm like, get your cameras ready, people. And then right before you get going, you look in the corner and who you see? There go Christian. You punk.
Yeah, got his camera rolling. Now, I'm not saying I would, like I said, I'm not saying I would do any tricks. I'm saying now what I wouldn't do like the big air of like the winter, like the skis. Like I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, Kevin.
Because that's as soon as you come off the ramp, you're like, this is a bad idea. You know what I'm talking about. So it's like
the big ski one.
The big skis, and you come down. I'd go to Lena.
Hold on. That's what it really is supposed to be, though. No. Boom, bam.
I feel like I'd be more like you'd get to the end of the ramp and it'd be like just straight down. You know what I'm talking about? Where it's like you have no upward trajectory, you just go over the edge and fall over.
But even if you jump a little farther, you got to land it, Kevin.
Oh no, I'm not landing it. I might fall over before I even get down the ramp.
It's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
And then you up.
What if I fell before I even got down the ramp? And the thing is that thing has grooves in it where they like all go down the same.
Listen, it's gonna be bad. Listen. Stay away from things that you think you want to do, because there's a reason why only certain people on the planet can do it. Just because you can do it, don't mean you should do it. Because once you do it, your body will not like you after. It's going to be bad.
Understand it.
If there are people who do it for a living that crash, what do you think you're gonna do?
We got more to come. That's take 3. We'll hopefully not crash as we go through the rest of this hour. And we'll chat with Akil Blunt. He'll join us next. Here it's 3 Now on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network.
Welcome back to 3 and Out. I am Ben Troop. He is Kevin Thomas. Over the last week, man, I was blessed enough to be able to go to the Black Sports Biz Symposium, the first of its kind. And, man, you meet so many interesting people when you at an event like that. My next guest doesn't get much incredible than him. I mean, a former Florida A&M linebacker, played for the Miami Dolphins, played for the Pittsburgh Steelers, also played for the Orlando Apollos, the great Akil Blunt. What's going on with you there, Akil?
What's going on, Ben? Man, I appreciate you having me on. You and Kevin, I know you're doing great things, so I appreciate you guys.
And Akil, man, obviously, you are, the son of Mel Blunt. But when I met you at the Black Sports Biz Symposium, I told you that, I said, look, man, I want to have you on to be able to talk about, your journey going to Florida A&M, playing in the National Football League, being the son of a great, but really just, your journey thus far. Talk about, your journey, because a lot of times when we hear about great players, we never ever know what the offspring of those players have to go through. Talk about your journey, going to Florida A&M, playing in the NFL, playing in the AAF, and what you're doing now.
Yeah, so it was just a pleasure and an honor to attend the Black Sports Business Symposium. I mean, it was a great event, and, our relationship that we're able to form from that, I think, is just an example of the great opportunities that were cultivated from that event. So, again, man, I appreciate you and the quick turnaround too. We just met the other day and we're already getting to work. So that's good. But it's always great to share, my journey and my story, because there's so many different things that I touch on within my story. And the first one that I always start with is faith, and just what God has revealed to me through my journey and through attending Florida A&M. I grew up on a farm, first of all, and I start with the farm because that's, my foundation. Another one of my F's, that's within my life. My dad, he was a country boy, grew up in Vidalia, Georgia, picking cotton, tobacco, peas, all the different kind of stuff. And it was just that essence of hard work that was instilled in him, and that was later instilled into me, at an early age. And I'll just jump to this, right now, is that, my father, he did play football, but at the same time, he never really forced football on me. He never, made us work out. But the one thing that he did teach us was fundamentals. Again, I'll throw another F in there. But fundamentals. So for me, it was the foundation, the fundamentals, the faith, all those different kind of things that really, allowed me to travel my own journey. And then regardless of what it was that, I pursued, if I had those core things, then, everything else would take care of itself. And from, the farm, I went to a private high school in Wheeling, West Virginia. Wasn't really big for sports or football, but, I just believe that if you, work hard, play hard, wherever you're at, people will find you. And I actually started, going to a game. It was the Atlanta Classic in Atlanta, Georgia. It was the Georgia Dome at this time, and Southern was playing Florida A&M. I was a senior in high school, and I thought I was going to play basketball, get all these basketball offers. They never came. We went 10-0 my senior year. Football, I was player of the year. Went down to, Atlanta, and it's crazy to be walking, up and down that field now in the capacity that I'm working. But Southern and FAMU offered me a scholarship. My dad went to Southern, but I said, hey, I'm blazing my own trail. Ended up at Florida A&M. And, really a world of opportunity had opened up from there. And that's what I tell, guys now that are, still playing and going into their journey in college, is that, when you work hard and bet on yourself, there's things that God will do in your life that, you never even knew were possible. And for me to go to the NFL, have that opportunity, be on NFL teams and just be in the locker room and sit and put on a jersey and be there on the field, working out, playing, it was, a dream come true. And even now, to be working for the Atlanta Falcons in the role that I am, it's part of the journey, and I'm grateful for it.
And Akil, you talk about your dad going to Southern. You talk about you going to Florida A&M. Talk about the HBCUs and how they're on display now. You look at what Deion Sanders is doing at Jackson State. You look at, what Hugh Jackson is doing, at Grambling. You look at what Eddie George is doing at TSU. Talk about the spotlight that HBCUs are under now, and what are people missing, especially when you talk about the NIL aspect of things when it comes to HBCUs?
And let me say this, not taking anything away from the Power 5 schools, but Power 5, Fab 5, First 5, whatever you want to call it, there's nothing like HBCUs. And I always say this, is that HBCUs are the pillars and the foundation of our communities, especially the Black communities, because at one point there was a time when, and we just celebrated Juneteenth, but there was a time when Black students, Black athletes, Black administrators and philosophers, they couldn't attend white institutions. And what we did was we went and we created our own institutions. We created our own higher education. And those things, flourished so that we could thrive and so that we could have, give ourselves a opportunity of excelling and reaching higher. And I think that people sometimes forget that when they look at HBCUs right now, is that, these schools are putting out the most doctors, the most lawyers, the most graduates with business degrees, vice presidents, all these different high level people that, our schools are putting out, and to see them getting the notoriety that they deserve, it's about time. It's special. And what Deion Sanders is doing, I just saw him this weekend at the Black College Hall of Fame induction ceremony. He was there to support the new inductees. And, it's people like him, it's people like Hugh Jackson, Eddie George, who are really saying, hey, this is, schools that I'm pouring into, and I'm putting them on the map and help elevating them to the level that they should be. And I think that, it's awesome to see. And for me, it just does, my heart well being a product of a HBCU.
And Akil, you talk about, you talk about faith. I mean, you talk about the fundamentals. You talk about the different things you learned from your father. You talk about what you're doing now. I've been watching the game, like the classic in Atlanta, to be working for the Atlanta Falcons. Talk about your influence now, because now you're in a position to be able to influence the next generation, of up and coming, former athletes, student athletes. Because I think a lot of times when people see us as being former athletes, they think that sport is the only part of our lives. Just talk about your role with the Falcons and being able to, kind of like help the next generation and kind of find their footing in the corporate world.
Yeah, that's a great question that you ask. And I think there's a lot of components to that question. But the one thing that I will say is that in life, we go through so many different phases, and God takes us through so many different experiences and seasons in our life. And sometimes we can't necessarily get stuck in a season or get stuck in one opportunity. And for me, and I think that every player that plays the game of football, has to go through this at some point. But, you're in college and you're one of the top players, in high school, in college, etc. You have the opportunity to play in the NFL, and everywhere that you go, you're defined by your ability to play football. That number that you wear on the field, the helmet that you put on, the logo of the team that you wear. And, at some point that comes to an end. You're only playing 4 years in high school. You're only playing 4 years in college. In the NFL, guys are lucky to have a 2.5, 3.5 year career. But at the same time, coaches always say, use the game and don't let the game, use you. But just as much as you pour into the game, it'll give, the same in return back to you. And there's only a certain amount of players, an elite category of players, that are able to play the game of football, at a high level. And all the things that the game of football teaches you, you have to take those and be able to apply them into other areas of life: the hard work, the teamwork, the camaraderie, the overcoming adversity, the willingness to compete. All those things are what makes you not better than anybody else, but having a different skill set and training than everybody else. And my thing right now, every day I wake up, I'm attacking it like it's game day. I'm approaching it like another day at practice, and got to get better, got to make that transition. And for me, when I had got released from the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm a Pittsburgh guy. I was pretty devastated, honestly. But at the same time, when I talk about faith, it was an experience where God had used it to show me that I wasn't just a football player. Like LeBron says, I'm more than an athlete. More than an athlete, and that's what you are. Football is what you do, but it's not what defines you. And to be able to go on and go back to grad school, make the transition into the business world, into working, for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the Atlanta Falcons, and then having, my own, business ventures. Some of the most successful former athletes are those that have been able to make that transition and not get stuck in saying, oh man, I was the best quarterback of my time. I was the best receiver. No, you got to make that transition. Michael Jordan did it. He's a billionaire. LeBron is already making strides to make that transition. He's a billionaire. Magic Johnson, one of the greatest businessmen, in the country, made the transition. And, football is a platform that allows you to be able to do that. And, players got to use it. And that's one thing that I, pride myself on.
Akil Blunt, former FAMU linebacker, played for the Dolphins, played for Pittsburgh, played for the Orlando Apollos. Now doing big things for the Atlanta Falcons. Akil, man, I appreciate you taking the time today, big time.
I appreciate you, Ben and Kevin. Man, you guys keep doing what you're doing, inspiring the world and changing the world, and one day at a time. I appreciate you guys.
Yes, sir. Akil Blunt joining us here on 3 and Out. We'll come back with more all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Welcome back to 3 and Out here on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, glad you're making us a part of your day. And a lot of golf news coming off a major. Some of it I'm sure the PGA Tour loves, and some of it they do not. But it continues to be a busy news time in the world of golf. And joining us here, host of the Back Nine Boys Golf Show, Rich Stiles, joins us on 3 and Out. Rich, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing good, and I just want to say that I am not going to the LIV Tour.
They have not come to you with the big money as of yet. Rich, you look. Let's start first with the major. For all the people who said, "Hey, to me, Saturday, Sunday is what the PGA Tour has going for it," that you can throw back at the Live Golf's face. Is that look? That's drama. It's excitement. It's action. It's guys trying to compete to win an ultimate prize, and you had maybe one of the best driving performances on a Sunday there from Matt Fitzpatrick. To me, it had everything you wanted in a successful golf major.
Oh, you bet. I mean, it was a great tournament. I mean, to come down like they did with so many guys within a couple of shots and, one hole here or there, one birdie, one bogey here or there could have changed the entire outcome. And I think last week when we talked, you asked what the final score would be, and I said I would be very hesitant to say that it would be over 10, and it was under. And it's just a tough course. I mean, a lot of rough, which is, U.S. Open type. That's what they have all the time is a lot of rough, fast greens, deep sand traps, to be able to win a major tournament with 6 under par. It's a pretty good tournament, and pars did win coming in. And Fitzpatrick played great. So did Zalatoris. Again, another second for him. And as you and I were talking about, he's rivaling Phil as far as being second in majors. But, he played second at the Masters. When this guy does win, it's going to be one of many. And Fitzpatrick just played brilliantly, putted great, kept the ball in play, and just hung in there.
And Rich, how much with everything's going on kind of like takes away? You look at, obviously you talk about a guy like Fitzpatrick who won, but with all the theatrics going on, we forget the fact you got guys like Fitzpatrick out there, winning a major, and then how much is it kind of like bittersweet for him because yes, he won it, but we also focus on the Live Tour, the players that wasn't even nowhere near the leaderboard.
I think, Fitzpatrick wasn't even thinking about the Live Tour. He was thinking about trying to win a major in the United States, and he did. And these guys are out there that are on the PGA Tour. They may think about the Live Tour, but once that tee gets into the ground on Thursday, and they know they got 4 rounds that they have to play. I mean, these guys are concentrating mentally, physically, to try and put up the best scores that they possibly can over that 4-day period. And that's all they're thinking about. And come Sunday, anybody within 3 or 4 shots of that lead was going to have a chance. And, Fitzpatrick didn't pull away, and the other guys didn't chase. So, McIlroy kind of fizzled on Saturday and Sunday, didn't play his best golf, probably a lot of pressure trying to win again. But, there's a lot of pressure out there mentally and physically. You got to keep the ball in play. And when you get in that high rough, it's almost like I got to guess where it's going to go.
Rich Stiles, host of the Back Nine Boys Golf Show, joining us here on 3 and Out. And Rich, you look at Will Zalatoris, is his run here to start his career? Maybe it's unfair, and I know we hate doing comparing, but is it kind of like Phil-esque where it's like, it's only a matter of time, but you're also at the same time going, my goodness, how many top 5s, top 8s, top 2s is this guy going to get before he breaks through and, literally missed a playoff by a whisker there on Sunday?
Well, I just like to have his deposit slips. I think he's doing pretty well. He's making a lot of money. You play second, you put yourself in the tournament again for next year. You put yourself in a lot of different places. Your world ranking goes up. And, he is going to win. There is no doubt about it. I think he needs to improve his putting a little bit. They were showing some of his putting on the close-ups on TV, and it's kind of a different putting stroke. It's not fluid. It's kind of jerky. But he putted well. He stayed in there. Just became 1 shot short, just like he has in some other tournaments. But believe me, when he starts to win and gets that first win under, his belt, there's going to be more to come.
And Richie, I mean, even Zalator, he comes up, one shot. I mean, you talking about the second place finish he had. You got a guy in Matt Fitzpatrick won his first major. How hard is it to win a major? Because we see how incredible these guys are. You talk about their focus. They are the best golfers in the world, but how hard is it to win a first major or win a major at all?
It's very difficult. I mean, how hard is it to win a Super Bowl? How hard is it to win a World Series? How hard is it to win an NBA championship? It is very, very hard. In golf, it is even more hard, or more harder. I'm not sure which is the correct English. But the point of the matter is it's totally up to you. You have no teammates. You have a caddy that's kind of advising you, but the execution is totally within your physical ability, your mental ability, your confidence, whether or not you can hit the shot that you want to hit, the distance you want to hit it. I think it's one of the hardest sports I've ever played. And I played a lot of baseball when I was growing up. And I think golf is without a doubt the hardest sport I've ever played. And it is very, very tough to play on the PGA Tour. You'd be amazed of how many people have won on the PGA Tour and their careers are still something you look at and say, boy, these guys are really, really good. That's what the ad says, but they are good. But they've only had one or two PGA Tour wins because there's so much good, great competition out there. It's just hard to win.
Well, Rich, when you talk about that great competition, I guess that's the perfect segue because, again, the PGA Tour had some steam taken out of sails coming out of a great U.S. Open. And then Tuesday morning, it's Brooks Koepka going to the LIV Tour, Abraham Ancer going to the LIV Tour. These are two guys, top 50 type guys. I know Brooks Koepka cares about the majors. It seems like, I know all the news was, hey, the LIV guys weren't even making the cut, but they got to play the majors, which to me is still the big story here. But Brooks, are you surprised that he's now bounced out? And do you still expect there to be more? And I know it seems to be a running kind of tale that every time a guy defects, it's, oh, well, that guy's kind of a jerk and he's only this and he's only that and he's past his prime. It's like, but these last couple of guys, they're named guys. Whether they play well or not, people know who they are, and you're having to fill that void with guys we don't know who they are on the PGA Tour at this point. What was your kind of thoughts when you heard Brooks was going to dip to the LIV Tour?
Well, I've been saying for about a month that as soon as I heard that Brooks's brother was in the LIV mix as far as the 48 players, I was pretty confident that he would not be far behind. I think that might have been the deal at the beginning. I have nothing to back that up except an opinion. And when Chase was given the opportunity to play on the LIV Tour without having any kind of status whatsoever, it was kind of like Brooks says, I'll be along. Let me get through the U.S. Open and see how I do, which you didn't do well. And I'll come along and I'll join you. So I wasn't surprised at Brooks. I was a little surprised at Ancer because he is sponsored by RSM, one of his many sponsors, and now he will not be able to play in the RSM Classic that's held here on the island in November. So he'll lose that sponsorship, but I'm sure he'll make it up with what he's being paid by the LIV. And I also do think there are more to come. I mean, the bottom line is this: money talks. And whether they sign a 2, 3, or 4-year contract, they're going to make more money. They're going to be able to retire sooner. They only have to play 54 holes instead of 72. I think the biggest point right now, if I was in that position, which I'm not, but if I was in that position, is would I join the LIV Tour, and are they ever going to get world golf ranking points? If they don't get those, they will not qualify for majors at all. They have to have those points in order to qualify. So I know they've been asked to join the world golf ranking, but whether or not it's approved is another matter. And if they don't get approved, then I think there's going to be some possible defectors. Who knows? But I think there's more to come that are going to go to LIV. But I also think the big sticking point at this point is, will they get world golf rankings by playing the LIV Tour?
Yeah, Rich, quickly, I saw the PGA Tour did have an announcement of their own today where they're changing the fall schedule around a little bit and upping the purse money. And I think a lot of people when you say, well, why would these guys leave? The guys that have kind of a grudge with the PGA Tour that maybe they're not doing enough. What the PGA Tour just found, a couple $100 million to throw to the fall series purses to kind of up and entice some guys to play there?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was kind of like a force. I think they had to come up with some kind of an idea. But let's face it, with the LIV, they only have to play 3 rounds. They have to play 4 in the PGA tournament. It may be no cut, but how do you qualify to get in? So there's a lot of unanswered questions. Yes, they've upped and put in some more tournaments like that and up the money that they can earn. But who's going to get in? How are they going to qualify? They've still got to play 4 rounds compared to 3. I still consider the LIV, even though they've got some bigger names than anticipated, to be like a pro-am, to be like a member guest, like an exhibition match. And, it's just one of those things. And, Greg Norman said that he wanted to coexist with the PGA Tour. Well, if he wanted to coexist with the PGA Tour, that should have been something they should have gotten together on a long time ago, before all this started, before LIV started asking people to sign these contracts and throwing all kinds of unbelievable money at these guys. So coexist, I'm not sure is going to happen. I think they've already drawn the line. And I think even though Norman says they want to coexist, I'm not sure that's going to happen.
Yeah, I think that ship has sailed. Rich Stiles, Back Nine Boys Golf Show, our guest here on 3 and Out. Rich, we appreciate it.
You're welcome, guys. Have a great day.
Appreciate it. Rich Stiles joining us here on 3 and Out. We'll come back with more across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. It is 3 now on this Tuesday. Ben and I coming right back. Hour number 3, right around the corner. College football. The countdown is on. Who are some teams flying below the radar here in 2022? We might get some answers to that as early as week 1 in the college football season. So we'll get to that. Braves and Giants game 2 coming up tonight as the Braves got off to a good start with a come-from-behind win last night in the ATL. So hour 3 right around the corner. Hit us up on Twitter at Pigskin Radio. We're streaming live, ESPNCoastal.com, and on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Great to have you back here. Final hour of 3 and Out on this Tuesday. He has been Troop. I am Kevin Thomas. Glad you were with us here on the program. Braves and Giants coming up later tonight. Michael Harris getting it done last night. Arcia with the walk-off. Braves starting pitching has been amazing, and they get more of it tonight with Spencer Strider. So a lot of great things to look forward to. We'll talk about that coming up in just a little bit. But Ben, college football always in the news. And as we get close to the start, are we getting close to 2 months here till the start of the college football? Because in there like August 20-something is the first game, maybe 27th. So not too far off from the 2 month mark.
A little bit over 2 months away from the thing really jumping off. But Kevin, I mean, that's what we have to. We pass the time. Football goes over now because of USFL, and come next year to be USFL and XFL. You start thinking to yourself, we are college football, NFL football, enthusiasts around here. But so much variety now. And Kevin, like I said, but it's always good when you root for a team in the bigs that's not only relevant, but it's defending World Series champs. So all to your other 29 teams, including the Evil Empire, deal with that. Because if you would have told me, Kevin, going into June, you said it. And Kevin, I don't know if I got to get you a 3-piece suit and see how well you count to go to Vegas. Because you said it in June with the Braves. This is a chance for them to really, really gain some confidence. 16-2 in the last 18 games. I don't think it gets much better than that.
No, it does not at all. And we'll talk more about that coming up as a chance to go 17-2 in their last 19 games. So we'll talk about that coming up in just a little bit. But college football, Ben, you look ahead to 2022 and everybody's excited about what could be. But who are some sleeper teams out there in college football? And by sleepers, I don't mean like, hey, there's a team we think is going to go 3-8, 3-9, and they end up making a bowl game. Now, who's a team that's you think sitting there maybe 9-17 when the preseason polls come out that might have a chance to get in the college football playoff and do some damage? I think we could see one week 1 with Florida and Utah. I think Utah's a team that was within a whisker of winning the Pac-12 last year, and a lot of players coming back. Could Utah be one of those teams if they get by Florida that all of a sudden people go, well, look what's left? They might be able to find a way in there.
Utah could definitely be one of those teams, Kevin, but I give you a team that, hey, and I'm not jumping on the bandwagon. Oklahoma, you already know what they're going to do every year, right? It's that other team. It's Texas. Oklahoma, new head coach. You know you're going to have talent, I think. But I think if you're talking about like Steve Sarkisian, you talk about Bijan Johnson and what they're gonna be able to have at the running back position, Kevin, if they can find a way to build on some momentum, put some wins together, and dare I say, make the Red River rivalry and get because if you didn't see it in 2021, right? Oklahoma had no business winning. Spencer Rattler gets bench. Caleb Williams comes in, and the rest is history. I think Texas could be a sleeper team. Because at the end of the day, Kevin, it's not like they're going to lack star power. It's not like they're going to lack scheme. It's not like they're going to lack talent. It's what can you put? What is the product on the field? Now, Kevin, you talk about Utah. I'll give you another one. USC, because it's such a question mark, right? The Pac-12, it's come down to 3 teams: Oregon, Utah, and obviously USC. Now, Utah is the defending champs. Oregon, you talk about what they got in Dan Lanning, what was he able to recruit? Was he able to pull some guys from the Southeast to Oregon? And then you got the question mark. You got Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley got the quarterback, right? He got his quarterback. CJ Williams, Caleb Williams, he goes over to USC. You had Jordan Addison. So you got one of the best quarterbacks, the best receiver. What can they put around them? I think, Kevin, for me, Texas is one. Utah is one, Texas is 2, and maybe USC. Because the thing about Miami is this. Mario Cristobal, Miami alum, comes over. It's up. The thing about I say Miami is because can Miami have a, dare I say, Pittsburgh, Wake Forest type run? Because the thing about it is Miami's they recruit really, really well.
Sure.
But Kevin, I mean, we got to go
But they're
dust
gonna,
off.
but they're going to have to go.
Yeah, we got to dust
They're
off.
going to have to go 11-1, 12-0 to get in the playoffs.
CDs, the VCR tapes. When the last time Miami was relevant, but for me, I do like the Utah pick. I think they're going to be a really, really good team because what makes Utah good is nobody expects them to do anything, and then they running through the Pac-12, winning the Pac-12 championship. I think having a guy like Caleb Williams, adding Jordan Addison to USC is going to be huge. But if Texas can actually play according to the talent level that they have with a guy in Brent Venables over in Oklahoma, who, while you're going to have talent, do he go through a first-year coach jitters? You know, because Oklahoma, they don't move coaches around that much. For those of you who don't know, I mean, they usually stick around. You know, Bob Stoops. You know what I'm saying? Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley left for the money. Nobody's mad at him about that. But I do like a Utah pick. I think like I said, Texas, USC, maybe Miami. Because the thing about it is, and Kevin, another pick you said, maybe a Penn State, because Ohio State, man, Ohio State going to beat the brakes off of Michigan this year. It's going to happen. Can Penn State finally get over the hump of being a team that's good enough to beat Michigan State, good enough to beat Ohio State, good enough to beat Michigan, and actually do it when that time happens? Or do they play well for 3.5 quarters, lose by a field goal, lose by a touchdown late? You know, I mean, Coach Franklin, he always going to have the talent. You know he's going to have the horses. Can he get it done?
Yeah, there's a couple of teams that I think, as you said, are looking to get that last step over the mountain, right? Penn State will be one of them. They've come so close. It's like, hey, you finally beat Ohio State, and then you lose to somebody, lose to Michigan State, and you can't go. Miami, to me, is curious because Miami might be very good this year, Ben. But you look at the ACC, the respect they get nationally, you're going to need Clemson to perform really well. Maybe even Wake Forest to have another 10-win type season out there in the ACC as well. But I think if you're Miami, if you want to get in the playoff, you're probably talking 12-0. 11-1 may not be able to get you there, right? Right? So could they be a sleeper? Yeah, I guess they could. But I think if they win the ACC or 10-2 or something like that, I think that might be a resurgence sign for Miami, but I don't think it's good enough to get them in the playoff. I think Utah could, depending on how it goes. I think that's a good one. I think Penn State, if they can get over that last little hump, Ben, they could get into the college football playoff. So to me, when you talk about sleepers, those are the teams I look at where it's like you need one hurdle. Like Utah won the Pac-12, but they're another team where you look at and you go, man, they have that one game that just ends up catching them, right? It's like, hey, you lost this game, you probably shouldn't have, and you just didn't play well, and it's going to cost you. Miami's been that way for a while, and actually probably could say that about a couple of games for Miami. Hey, they lost 2 or 3 games they probably had no business doing. Penn State's certainly been one of those where it's Ohio State standing in your way, and if you have beaten them, then you lose to an Iowa or you lose to somebody like that, and you're going, that was the difference. That was the difference in you making it there. I feel like there's a couple of teams, and we mentioned them there, Ben, that are so close, right? So close. Oklahoma State is another one that reminds me a lot of a program that is so close, right? How many times is Mike? I mean, seriously, how many times has Mike Gundy won like 9-10 games? You're going, and you lost by like 1 year. They were like 10-2, and one of their losses, they lost by like 2 to Central Michigan. And you're going, what? This doesn't even make sense at this point. But I feel like Mike Gundy's another one of those guys who's got Oklahoma State good enough, but they need to take that one extra step. And could they be a sleeper with a coaching change at Oklahoma? And I know you say Texas can be a sleeper. I mean, let's beat Kansas first before we start talking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But before we start talking about being back, let's beat Kansas first. But I feel like Oklahoma State is in that realm of the Utahs and the Penn States and maybe to a lesser extent Miami, where it's like you need to win that one extra game, and it's probably a completely different story for Oklahoma State. And could they win the Big 12? I think they could. Again, you know what Lincoln Riley left, but you're still going through a coaching transition. And you're going into a league that traditionally has not valued a whole lot of defense. You bring in Brent Venables, who is Mr. Defense. And what does that mean offensively for Oklahoma? Are they going to be able to light up the scoreboard the way they have in years past? Is it going to be a little bit of a up to speed mantra in some games where maybe offensively they don't play well? I think this could be a year that Oklahoma State might win the Big 12.
Kevin,
But I say that, but
Yep.
they've had teams good enough to do it in the past, and they don't do it. They lose a game 42-38 or something crazy like that. Didn't they? Who was it last year? Didn't they lose to Baylor and it was like 52-49 or something?
They still
something nuts.
They still got that can't make a stop problem. It's not that Oklahoma
True,
State
but-
doesn't. But can Oklahoma not? Oklahoma State themselves, like we always say in the ACC, they're going to ACC themselves. When it comes to Oklahoma State, Kevin, it's not the talent, it's not the offensive production. It's if you're winning 48-35 with 5 minutes left, can you close the team out, or we're going to overtime? And the thing about Coach Mike Gundy, I mean, incredible coach, right? You think about being able to say, okay, everybody around me's leaving, right? Lincoln Riley gone, Venables in, I get it. Can I beat a team like Baylor? Can I not have, a letdown against a team that I should beat, like a TCU? So I do think Coach Gundy them got a shot, Kevin, because they're going to have the talent. And once again, Oklahoma State is always that really, really good program, but never taking that really, really good program. They don't lack anything. It's like one of those, if you go to the facility, you're like, dude, oh yeah, big time football. But the problem is, we're Oklahoma State, we're not Oklahoma. Until we beat them, it's like if you go to Oklahoma State, people saying, yeah, man, they say you go here because you couldn't go there, or what may have you. But Kevin, just like I know, Coach Mike Gundy, it's like you said, 9 wins, the hardest thing, can you get another win? Can you get that 10th? Can you get that 11th? Then can you go to the Big 12 championship game and not lay an egg? So it's up to him. You got a lot of good coaches that this might be their moment, but Coach Gundy, outside of some great sound bites, man, they'll say, oh man, they win. Who they lost to? Baylor. What? It'd be the team you go, what? And then Baylor end up having a subpar year. That'd be their Super Bowl of the year.
It's just great. I mean, they've been the tough luck team in the Big 12, where it's like you're rolling along and you lose a game by 3 where both teams combine to score 100 points and you don't win. It's, as you said, get a stop, any stop, and that would be appreciated. We got more to come here. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here. It is 3 and Out. He has been. I am Kevin. Thanks for making us a part of your day. 912-342-7184. Your number to join us here on the show, or you can hit us up on Twitter at Pigskin Radio. We are streaming live as well, ESPNCoastal.com, and on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. You can leave us a comment there as well. Ben, as college football, as we mentioned, about 2 months, a little bit more than 2 months away. We talked about some of these guys that are right there. James Franklin, Mike Gundy. Who is a coach that you feel like is on the cusp of becoming like one of the upper echelon coaches if they can get the win? I know we talked about programs who are maybe sleepers. Who's a coach that you feel like if they can climb that one last piece, they become in that kind of upper echelon of coach? Not the Saban, Kirby, Jimbo, the guys who are currently holding a natty. There's only a handful of those guys right now, but kind of puts themselves into that next category of coach out there.
Wow.
Now, I feel like James Franklin and
Mike Gundy.
Mike Gundy are the two right now that just jump right off the page. Is like they are so close every single year, and every year you're going, if you didn't, lose your mind against Indiana, you might be in a different situation. Or if you're Mike Gundy's like, dude, if you could you scored 60 points and couldn't beat Baylor. Like, what do you do? Like, if you could get by one of those games, it would be a different story for you.
Wow. Coach that I like Coach Gundy. I like Coach Franklin. I mean, you know what's crazy? And I know it's only been 1 year. If they can, because this is back, just getting back to just nationally relevant, it might be Coach Heupel up there in Tennessee. Because here's the thing, Kevin. It's like in our business, the media business. You don't have a lot of job openings for certain positions that often. Guys ain't walking away from these type of gigs, and gals ain't walking away from these type of gigs that often. Think about Tennessee is a blue blood when it comes to college football. They are one of the, core teams. They are part of the college football fabric. They haven't been relevant for a while. It's been they've been the laughing stock for a lot of different reasons. When you're talking about leadership reps and kicking white boys on the sideline and all these different things, Coach Heupel comes in and goes, we're not too many years to move, Kevin. This was a job that nobody wanted in the SEC. When they went through their Rolodex of coaches, they went through a lot before somebody said yes.
I think Jeremy Pruitt was like choice 6 or 7. Yeah.
They've had Lane Kiffin and all these different things when you talk about Tennessee. Philip Fulmer went from being the head coach.
Derek Dooley
went from being the head coach to the athletic director. But I think Coach Heupel was the guy that said, look, man, I want this gig. I understand I got to deal with Florida. I got to deal with Georgia. I got to deal with Alabama. I got to deal with Vanderbilt, as Kentucky, South Carolina. But if they could just stay nationally relevant, competing in the East, you got to compete in the East before you can win the East. So they're competitive. Won 7 games last year. I think had the third best record in the East last year behind Georgia and Kentucky. But now it's, do you have staying power? You got a guy, Henry Hooker, that's going to be back. You can use him to help you bring in the next. I think they got a big time quarterback not named Eli. I can't even think of his name. Arch Manning right now.
Right.
But I think it is Coach Heupel, because here's the thing, Kevin. Certain teams need to be good for bigger than just the division they play in, but just the national, attention and reputation of this school. Tennessee hasn't beaten Florida in a while. I don't even want to talk about the record against Alabama. That's even
tough,
more dismal.
Yeah.
Georgia hasn't been competitive as of late, except for when Joshua Dobbs with the Hail Mary in Athens. That's been 5 years now. Tennessee, to me, Coach Heupel is a coach that's got a shot, because Kevin, all it takes is 1 year. People say, "Well, why you mean Coach Orgeron?" Most of his time at LSU it was all right. He had a year though, and that's considered one of the best teams ever. So that's the pressure on Brian Kelly, right? Because I think that for me it is a Coach Heupel, because and you could probably say a Coach Brian Kelly too, because this is the thing about LSU. You said this, Kevin. I mean, since 2000, they have 3 national championships, right? All 3 with different coaches. Les Miles, Coach O, Coach Saban. The thing about LSU is they expect to have that type of success all the time. Yeah. When you got Alabama, when you got Auburn, when you got Texas A&M, when you got Ole Miss, when you got Mississippi State, when you got Arkansas, and that's another coach too. When you think about a coach, when you talk about you talked about Coach Kelly or whatever. I think that what makes it hard to do it is it's staying power. It's Clemson had one bad year. We think, well, whoa. Clemson won 10 games.
They did not have a bad year. They didn't make the playoffs. So yeah,
Clemson won 10 games, and people go, oh man, they're the worst team ever. But I think for me, Kevin, if Coach Heupel can keep things going in Tennessee, make it competitive against Florida, make it competitive against Georgia. Don't lose to teams like Mizzou, or make it interesting against Kentucky. I think they got a shot because let's face it, Kevin, it's been too long since Tennessee has not been relevant, and I think it just makes you throw these young student athletes not be thinking, oh, Tennessee stinks. Nah, it's hard with recruiting and let's face it, recruiting is one thing. I got to get a top recruiting class, got to get a quarterback. They got a big time quarterback coming in, but I think a Coach Heupel can have a sophomore slump. When now people kind of know what his offense is going to be and get complimented defense, I think he'd be involved. I think he'd be.
Josh Heupel could be very, very interesting. And again, I think whoever's going to take the next step at Tennessee, it comes down to those three schools you mentioned, Ben. It's Florida, it is Georgia, and it's Alabama, right? Because if you're Tennessee, it doesn't matter who the coach has been the last 15 years or so, you haven't done a whole lot of winning. You've done virtually no winning against Florida. I think they're 1-15 in the last 16 games against Florida. Bama, I don't know that it might be once in the last 15 years against Bama.
Yeah.
And Georgia has been maybe twice. You have not had any success against any of those.
But I will say this too, Kevin. Now, Jimbo gets his prestige because of what he did in another school. It ain't at the school he's at. I'm going to tell you a school or a coach that they're not going to win the national championship, but it's probably done the best job under the radar and under the circumstances. It might be Sam Pittman and what he's doing at Arkansas. Now, let me say this again. They're not going to win. Look, even if Alabama had a down year, it's going to be LSU. It's going to be Texas A&M. It's going to be Auburn. It's too many teams they got to overcome. But this is the same Arkansas team that 2 years ago, they weren't picked to win a game. When it was all SEC schedule, they weren't picked to win a game. They hadn't won a game in the SEC in like 2 years. It was crazy. But Sam Pittman has done a hell of a job. And he has Alabama, Auburn, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Texas A&M, and LSU every year. They won, 9? It was ridiculous what they did last year. So I think that this is more about, because you know how it is, Kevin. Whoever the top coaches are, Kirby Smart, Nick Saban, you talk about Dabo Swinney.
I mean, how many active coaches are out there right now with the Natty? Kirby, Dabo, Jimbo, Nick Saban, and Jimbo and Mac Brown. There's 5 out of 130 schools. Unless I missed one, there's 5. So that's it. So when you talk about getting to that, you got to get in the upper. There's 5 guys.
Here's the thing too. Mac Brown won a national championship when most of these players was 4 and 5. Like, think about if they were that. So Mac Brown does have it, right? Mac Brown is the reason why Texas, whatever the hell they think Texas football is right now. Jimbo Fisher won it, or obviously at Florida State. Nick Saban, you look at what he did at Alabama and at LSU. Les Miles isn't a coach right now. Coach O isn't a coaching right now. So think about it, Kevin. 5, not named Lincoln Riley. Like, he's never won one. He got the prestige. So that club is very exclusive. That SUV is full. That's all you need. We get them an SUV. They don't need no limo. Who's going to add to that? Because, Kevin, you were in icon status when you win a natty. Problem is, ain't but so many teams can win it. Jimbo needs to win one with this team, even though he's on the bus. A team like Lincoln Riley, they're not giving you that much money, and your family got private jet access for 24 hours a day for you to just be all right. Venables, we want you to do what Bob Stoops did. Billy Napier, hey man, from $2 million to 7.1 with $8 million to pay your staff and 45 new coaches, got to get it done. So I think that a lot of these coaches, that second tier, Kevin, could be anybody. People go, he ain't second tier. Yes, second tier is a bunch of coaches. Anyone, Mel Tucker, $95 million. Franklin, Pittsburgh. You talk about
Penn State, Penn State, you mean.
check this out. Yeah, Penn State. Check this out. Coach Day, Ohio State, right there. Got to get it done. I mean, if you want to play wide receiver, you go to Ohio State these days. But you want to win the Natty? Ain't nobody coming out the Big Ten. Michigan got shellacked after they beat Ohio State, right? But I do think that Sam Pittman, you know, and what he's doing, you know, I think he got a shot. Coach Heupel got a shot. Lincoln Riley got a shot because he like, look, I want to be the alpha dog in whatever conference I'm in. He gets that at SC, and you know, it's a lot. It's going that second tier is going to be really, really big, Kevin, because you know, recruiting got to be there first. The product on the field got to be there second, and you have to have a consistent winning product every year.
Yeah, there's a number of guys who can do it that haven't done it. I mean, James Franklin won at Vanderbilt, for crying out loud. You know, it's like I think if he continues to do what he's done at Penn State, eventually they're going to find a way to pop through there. Can they do it? I think maybe they just haven't done it. They got to find that one year where they don't have that slip.
Yeah.
And I think James Franklin could be one of those coaches that you're talking about. But you're right. You got the top tier guys that have rings on their fingers. That's very small group.
Mm-hmm.
Very small group right now. And then that next tier is we're almost, we can see it. We can taste it, but we can't quite get there. And that's a hard leap to make. Like you talk about making the leap from, hey, I took over a program that won 4 games. We got them to 6. We got them to 8. We got them to 9. Going from, and I think Georgia knew this, when they went from Mark Richt to Kirby Smart. Now, Kirby made it look pretty seamless because he kind of took that Nick Saban model and said, I learned from the GOAT, and we're going to take GOAT strategies and put them into play over here in Atlanta. But going from 10, or Athens, excuse me, but going from 10 to 12,
going from 10 to 11.
The 10 to 11 even.
Yeah.
Is insanely hard.
And Kevin, and that's really what it is. You say, okay, your first year, you're kind of getting the barometer. You know, I use Dan Mullen. Dan Mullen comes into Florida where you're replacing Jim McElwain. So you ain't got nowhere to go but up. But then he goes to a New Year's 6, right? Wins it. Oh, man, good momentum. The next year, why you go Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, win it. You know, next year, you go to the Orange Bowl, win it. But then you go to the Cotton Bowl and with the JV team and get the doors blown off you by Oklahoma, right? This after
I forgot that he did say, he's like, we got our B team.
B team.
That was bad.
Then Kevin, it's almost like this, and that's the hardest thing. What Mark Richt did with Kirby Smart, and Kirby Smart knew coming in, hey man, my first year, it wasn't really a lot to go off of. I think they lost to Vanderbilt his first year. It was like 7 wins. It wasn't good. So the vision wasn't really felt, but they stayed the course. I mean, let's get facilities, recruits. It goes facilities, recruits, culture. Facilities, recruiting, culture. They got the facilities, check. Got the recruiting, got the culture. Because the one thing about it, he had 5 stars. He didn't have a 5-star culture. That was in Tuscaloosa. That was in Clemson. That was in Ohio State. But then he realized, okay, I'm going to build around the quarterback, and I'm going to get the quarterback. Jake Fromm showed you what could be. Okay, go to the national champ. Okay. So now what he really did, I got to have a defense. Why? Because no matter what, Alabama always has AD, fence. He gave me one of the greatest defense you're going to ever see. And Kevin, if it never happens again, for which I hope it doesn't, we've seen it, right? And sometimes, Kevin.
Ben's going to give us a Go Dogs any minute here on the show.
No, that's the thing, Kevin. Most people don't really have a blueprint of success. They have a blueprint that works. But the success in college football, and I'm only talking about the teams that can win it, mind you. Like what Mike Gundy is doing at Oklahoma State, that might be the best they can do when you look at everything around them. LSU has a blueprint because they won it. Alabama is the blueprint. Georgia just showed that, hey, man, there are kinks in the armor with Alabama, right? If you are in Ohio State, can you get over the hump? Cincinnati, that might be the best they can do. Michigan might be the best they can do. Because if you've never won it, you be like, hey, well, almost winning it ain't winning it, right? I mean, the first time the Rams went to the Super Bowl, they had Jared Goff. They scored 3 points. The final score was 10-3. That was the score in the Super Bowl. So all I'm saying is, when you talk about these teams, Kevin, to the one, like, you know who better have a blueprint to get it done? That would be Jimbo. We got you the #1 recruiting class in the country. Making, making declarations before the season, talking about we gonna whoop Alabama's you know what. Now, Kevin, can you win it all? That starts with going to Atlanta. Because last time I checked, unless you got relevant Atlanta. Ain't nobody from Texas going to Atlanta. I ain't seen them. So but the second tiers though, Kevin, is going to be loaded. I think that the best of the second tiers right now, I mean, might be Coach Franklin. As far as like you've seen it consistently, but can he go to 10 wins? Can he beat Ohio State? Because once you beat Ohio State, now you get a chance to go with the big bad SEC. They're like, well, we played Auburn. That ain't big bad SEC. Big bad SEC is Georgia and Alabama right now. And if you can beat them, you can beat anybody. The problem is you got to beat them because they are the anybody. So we'll see, Kevin. But that second tier bus is a tour bus. There's a bunch of coaches jumping off from Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, USC, Florida, Tennessee, LSU, Texas A&M, Auburn. It looked like a coach's convention on that second bus, but the first one is an SUV, and there were 5 of them in there, and one of them only on there because of what he did at Florida State. His pass about to get revoked too, because can you do it at this school? You the one that started the guaranteed contracts, Jimbo, and you the one also telling people to say it to your face, leaving your Christmas tree in your yard. College Station won a natty.
We got more to come here at 3 Out, counting down towards Braves and Giants tonight. We're coming back with more all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Great to be here with you on this Tuesday. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop. We do have the Braves and the Giants coming up in just a little bit. Braves take the opener 2-1. Nice to, I told somebody earlier today, nice to see that clutch gene, as people like to say, come back, Ben, where it was you give up the lead. I say give it up. It was a tie, but you give up the lead in the 8th inning. You come back. Kenley Jansen shuts it down in the 9th, and you get a walk-off single from Orlando Arcia, who, again, not your star player. He's just another guy called upon and makes it happen when it's his turn. And we've talked about that with the Braves for so long, where, look, it's just different dudes every single night. Basically, hey, it's my turn tonight. And they've been so good in the late innings under Snit, and a little bit of that again last night to beat a team that's really good in the San Francisco Giants. And again, I look at it and say, look, these are now games that you're going to be judged on coming down the stretch, Ben, because everybody's like, oh, you got fat. You got fat beating up on teams that weren't that good. Below 500 records. All that stuff that people would like to say about what the Braves have been through the last month. Well, you went out and beat a team that's right there with you in the wild card race. So hopefully that's a precursor of what happens coming up this weekend when the Dodgers come in, but a chance to, again, take the first two. Tonight, you have Spencer Strider's had a great year against Anthony DeSclafani, who's coming off of injury for the Giants. So this is his first start back since coming off of injury. Maybe a chance to take the first two on this tough homestand and kind of send a message that, hey, it's not just we're beating up on the bad teams. We can go toe-to-toe with anybody out there. And here's why. I still think, even without Ozzie, this lineup's tough, and they showed it last night. Michael Harris, 3 for 3. Arcia with the walk-off. They're getting it done, and Acuna has been non-existent for a week and a half. Give
Snit and Alex Anthopoulos a lot of credit, man. They don't build a team around a superstar, Kevin. But you said, can they? You said this. You said with Kenley Jansen, what does he bring you? You can win a game 1-0, 1-1. Like he'll make it so that he gets you out of bad spots. And baseball to me is not winning 6-0. Can you win 2-1, 3-2? I mean, the most exciting baseball you're going to see outside of postseason is the last 6 outs. It will get exciting
Sure.
regardless of what team. But you talk about this Braves team, Kevin, they're building confidence, and what makes them dangerous is they can win a 2-1 ball game. Like they can take it to the 9th inning and say, man, we confident. We're getting contributions from guys that don't make contributions game in and game out. Oh, and Ronald Acuna Jr. is not playing well. Think about how much that could easily be a talking point if they weren't winning. But when you're winning, hey, man, we're going to let our superstar figure it out.
Yeah.
Right? Because this is the thing about Ronald Acuna. While he is still a out-of-this-world talent, having a Michael Harris Jr. in the outfield lets him know, hey, man, we pretty good at this scouting stuff now, Ronald. Like, we pretty good at what we're doing here.
I don't think he's in any danger, but yeah.
What I'm saying is, Kevin, it's good to have young talent around you that plays in the outfield with you. It's not supposed to be. I'm supposed to be able to. If I'm going to feel any heat, it's supposed to come from my teammates to help elevate my game. Michael Harris Jr. is sensational. I mean, he really, really is. And that's the thing, right? It's almost like that's what Freddie Freeman had to deal with when Ronald Acuna Jr. got called up. He go, this dude is sensational. Freddie like, hey, dude, I've been doing it. And I'm not saying that's how Freddie felt, but Kevin, that's how good the Braves are. Look, you see how good Dansby Swanson's playing? Do you remember how bad he played when the season started? That's how good he's playing now. You don't even talk about it anymore. But the talk of the Braves right now is not Michael Harris Jr. It's not Ronald Acuna Jr. It would be Travis d'Arnaud. He is balling.
Well.
It's like he got so many highlights now. I've been thinking, is this a rerun? Is this a preview? No, he just went yard again. And I think that's what makes the Braves good is you expect it from Matt Olson, who had an incredible play last night, by the way, well, right? And I think guys are showing why.
Saved Will Smith.
He really, really did. I mean,
Will came in and did not.
Will, you better get your hand over at the first base.
And Matt Olson saved his butt a little bit. But yeah, you're right.
But what I'm saying is, Kevin, I think you're seeing just how good a dangerous team is. They can hurt you with their bat. They can hurt you. They can hurt you. They can hurt you on defense, right? They can hurt you in the late innings. They can hurt you with the bullpen, and they get late game heroics from guys who aren't really asked to step in and be a key contributor outside. So love it. And like I said, Michael Harris Jr., Ronald, this ain't nothing against you, But I love Mr. Michael Harris Jr. right now. Because Kevin, you said it. You know, Goran Vidov, he said it. Hey man, Kevin, let me give you crystal ball this. Once he starts, was it June the 20th? Wasn't that the
it's like June 17th? Like he's going to take it to another level.
And those plate appearances have gotten a lot better. And Kevin, dare I say, poised at the plate. And for those who don't know, he got wheels. Yeah, I write a center fielder misjudge that ball if you want to. You're gonna stand up, watch this man do a triple. But listen. In the last 18 games, they've only lost twice. I will take that any day of the week. Obviously, Kevin, you know, later on in the week, we're going to talk about who they got to play this weekend. But until we get there, a team like San Francisco, who obviously they got the Braves circle because right now they won 1 and 2, I think, in the wild card race. Right now, really, really similar with.
Or now 2 and 3, or 2 and 3 now.
2 and 3, as far as like runs batted in, runs given up. Home and away schedules. But that's what you want. You want to judge myself on a team that's just as good as me. Shout out to Jock Peters. Like I say, Mr. Pearls himself, I don't want him coming in the ninth inning and doing what he did, scaring me. But at the end of the day, Kevin, listen, food tastes better. Kids are much more tolerable. Everything is better when you win. You will take a win in Truist.
Hey, look, I really like the way this team is playing. And as you said, Acuna is doing virtually nothing right now. His last 10 games, 1 RBI. I know he's in the leadoff spot, but here's why I say 1 RBI is important. Michael Harris is down at the bottom. Adam Duvall, Orlando Arcia, all those guys have been hitting and getting on base. So he's had opportunities. 7 of 42, 1 RBI in his last 10 games. So for the last week and a half, he has been pretty awful. Pretty awful, to put it nicely. At the end of the day. So then I think, to me, that's a good sign.
Yes.
When you talk about, hey, you got the Dodgers coming up, you have some guys who are playing well, and your superstar is not. And superstars usually don't have a whole lot of prolonged stretches where they just don't play well, right? Freddie Freeman had a little bit, and he worked his way through it, and he came out big on the other side. So if I'm the Braves, hey, keep winning, and 13 is going to show up huge here in the not too distant future, and it's going to be, one of those tears that you see superstars go on, where you just take it to another unworldly level, and you're going, I can't even describe what I'm looking at right now. It's just totally unbelievable. And to me, if I'm Snit, you got to feel really good. Bullpen, outside of Will Smith, everybody's pitching pretty well. Starting rotation has been really good. I mean, you got
who we got tonight?
Spencer Strider, yeah,
the stash,
yeah, the stash. So look, he's 2.25.
Nice.
Max Fried, 2.77 ERA.
Ian Anderson
is, I think, a little over 3, but
Minter.
Kyle Wright's under 3. So you got 3 starters under 3. Charlie Morton and Ian Anderson are pitching. I mean, Charlie Morton didn't give up a run in his last outing. So you have 5 guys pitching well, and Mike Soroka working to get back. Where that, again, good problem to have, Ben, right? I have 5 rotation spots and maybe a 6 starting pitcher coming back. Bullpen has been good. Minter has been good. Kenley Jansen is
nice,
unbelievable with what he does.
Yes.
You have Tyler Matzik on the injured list, set to come back later in the year. Kirby Yates, formerly led the American League in saves, coming back off of injury later in the year. You're going to add good pieces.
And at a certain point, hopefully Mike Soroka comes back.
That's what I'm saying. So you're going to add pieces potentially to this team that are really good without looking at the trade deadline, without maybe negotiating with some other teams. To me, that's very interesting for the Braves because your lineup, Ben, is very, very good, right? I mean, it's very like where would you make yourself better right now? Okay, maybe second base, but Arcia's playing well, and you're going to get Ozzie back later in the season. So it's not a long-term solution.
And you're going to get Rosario back at a certain point.
Right. So Adam Duvall,
that's sign of a great
Eddie
team.
Rosario come back. Adam Duvall's back. Could you get better at DH? Well, when Rosario comes back, he can DH as well as Ozuna if he's not hitting. You have so many options of guys currently on the team.
Yes.
What a great problem to have. We'll come back, get you ready for Braves and Giants next. It's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here on 3 and Out. Braves and Giants coming up here in just a little bit. Anthony DeSclafani, first start coming off of the IL for the Giants. Spencer Strider for the Braves tonight. And again, Braves trying to take the first 2 games of the series and put a little distance between themselves and the Giants in the wild card standings. Probably still a little early to be worrying about wild card standings, but nevertheless, there they are, Ben, and we'll see if, love to see Ronald Acuna get off to one of those patented hot starts, first at bat homers. That we say, I'm not calling that, but when you're in a kind of a slump like he is, you want to see something, kind of spark him and get him going.
Yeah, Kevin, he's going to get at least 4, maybe 5 at bats. I mean, I think it just comes down to being patient, just waiting on his pitches, really just being himself. And it's bad for him because he's in a slump, but it's got to be good to know they ain't putting pressure on him. He is leadoff. I don't know who he ranks as leadoffs ever in baseball, but he's got to be up there.
Yeah, leadoff homers. He is. I think he very much is up there. Yeah.
So I think with him, Kevin, just go out there, be yourself, because you got a team around you that's not making you have to carry the load. And hey, man, I would think at the end of the day, he wants to win more than he wants the stats, but we will take both. Hopefully that starts tonight.
Now, why can't we have both?
Of course, I want both.
Why can't we have both? Let's be greedy about it if we're going to do it. Appreciate Rich Styles, Back Nine Boys Golf Show, joining us. Also, Akil Blunt, former FAMU linebacker, Dolphins and Steelers linebacker, son of Hall of Famer Mel Blunt, joined us earlier on the show as well. You can catch that ESPNCoastal.com or our YouTube channel, ESPN Coastal on YouTube, if you missed any portion of today's show. We'll see you tomorrow, 3 and Out, on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network.